Good day, everyone. My name is Bemiga Olamikon, and you are on to GTV Africa some months ago, precisely 101 or 100 days. I came here to talk to you about a man, the new man that just started pushing the leadership of ANAN. I promised that I'll be back to let you know much about what he's doing. Today with me, I have some other colleague in the house to find out from him what has he done within 100 days. You know, everyone will always like to check, what have I done within 100 days? But today with me, I have my colleague in the house to do justice to what is expected to be done. Ima Elimeke is in the house with me, my colleague in the Vanguard newspaper. And I have the lady in the house, Grace. She's going to tell you much and more. But let me not waste your time. Let me bring in the man that everyone is expected to hear from him after 100 days. Reverend Canon Professor Benjamin Osisioma. Nice to have you, sir.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to this forum. And, here am I, all available.
Nice to see you. Sir, some days ago, a lot of our people all over the world follow the live streaming from GTV Africa, where you are crowned as the president of ANAN. Shortly, a day or two after that, we came down here to find out what you intend to do. I want to be sure whether you are really doing what you promised or not. But I'm not going to say that. In your 100 days in office, what have you done?
Well, thank you very much. You know, it has become customary to look at the performance of a chief executive after the first 100 days in office. It's not that that time frame is sufficient to define completely the goal of what you have set out to achieve, but it could be a pointer to what to expect in the days ahead. And so it has become a very important yardstick. And I will say that it has been a busy period for me. When we came in, I was stepping into the shoes of a predecessor who had done so much for ANAN in a very short time. Like this entire building where we are now was acquired under his watch, my predecessor. And under his watch, ANAN was licensed to run a university. And so I came in barely how many months after the license. So the responsibility now seems to have fallen on me to ensure that this university takes off on a good footing. So I had my work cut out for me. And over this period, we have done quite a lot. In fact, within these first 3 months, let's go to first begin with the university issue. We have tried to give the university a firm footing for takeoff. Provided the funds, provided the support. Right now, we are assembling the staff and the resources that will enable us run a full postgraduate university. But beyond that, you see, the university was birthed, midwifed by the College of Accountancy. That's the Nigeria College of Accountancy, which we are authorized under our laws to run. I usually say it's a self-regulating body because it derives its power from the law, statutes. The law that set up ANAN talked about the college. And over the period of 40 years, it has been one great success story. The college has provided much of the backing for what we're doing in ANAN, trained the personnel, provided the funds for our operation, and given us a brand image that is very peculiar. In fact, someone said that the collegiate system of training is ANAN's gift to the accountancy profession globally. And we would not want the university to crowd out the college. It would be unwise to sacrifice a 40-year success story on the altar of a new venture that you don't even know how well it's going to do. So we have decided to handle the two, to carry them along. And that's one area where we are experiencing quite a lot of activity. Like in the past, within the first month of my assumption of duty, we had turned the sword for the construction of a new admin building for the college. We decided to shift the college out from where it was. It was actually the site of the college that gave birth to the university. And the two cannot coexist on the same set of facilities, or else we'll run into problems with the regulating authorities. So the college had to shift on a separate, over 40 hectares of virgin land beside the university. That's where the college is taking off. So we've already commissioned an admin building, and we are hopeful that before this year runs out, in the next 3-4 months, we have an imposing admin building, 3 floors there. But it's a complex structure with 2 lifts and multiple offices. We're also constructing a new gate into the college and providing a fence for clear demarcation of the 2 facilities, so that you will know that where the college begins and where the university ends and that kind of thing. So that's one of the things we addressed. We have also gone further to strengthen the fiber of what we are doing as a professional body. When we came in initially with the COVID, hangover of the COVID period, we couldn't go on with our mandatory continuing professional development program. That's the core of ANAN. 2 things have sustained ANAN in the past years: the college and our MCPD program, mandatory continuing professional development. A program we started in 1996 under Baba Odumero, blessed memory, Dr. J.K. Odumero. So that program, we're already in a fix because of the impact of the COVID era. We needed to organize. Happily, just a few weeks ago, barely 2 weeks ago, we had our MCPD program here in Abuja, and it was a roaring success. Well, I don't think since I joined ANAN we've ever seen anything quite like that. The attendance was just marvelous. So that provided us with a core. Right now, as we're here, our branches are holding a retreat. We are scheduled to hold it at Jos. Then this eruption of violence in Jos over the past weekend. So we had to quickly strategize and redirected the program to Abuja here. And the thing there is that those of our members who can't come, because some of them from Northeast were cut off, because they had to go through Jos to come here. So they couldn't come again. We decided to convert it into a virtual stroke, physical, a hybrid meeting, so that people can watch, take part, make contributions from their bases. So we are getting on. This morning again, I had just discussed with the CEO. I said, I was declaring an emergency on our ICT readiness as a body. A couple of months ago, the International Federation of Accountants, IFAC, administered a digital readiness assessment on us. And our performance was not satisfactory. So we knew that we had to do something. So I said I was declaring an emergency, so to say, that on this issue of ICT, we must break out. Already, we are making quite an impact. The college has broadened its appeal. The thing there is to reach out to members across the nation, across the nations, and across our nation, so that members can apply from outside Nigeria, apply online, registered online, cleared online, lectures online, exams online. That's where we're driving.
They receive their certificates online too.
Definitely. Why not? Because we are saying we're coming to that position. One of our twinning partners, the CPA of Ireland, we were talking with them a couple of months ago, and I listened to their CEO talk, and he said they had come to a point where they had virtually completely digitalized their operations. Can you imagine a chief executive officer who said he went to his office only once in a month, and yet every ground is covered? He said in their office only one person was there at a particular point in time, yet nothing was left undone. And so I said, what is their secret? That's one of the things we want to get at, so that we will be in the vanguard of what is happening in these times. That's our digital emphasis. That's one of the points we are also driving, we are working on. So a lot of things, I don't want to go into the issues of what we are doing concerning our staff. Because immediately I came in, one of the things I did was I set up I called it a committee on establishment matters. Because I discovered that there was a level of disaffection, disenchantment with certain things about the way operations were going on. So go round. Some staff would complain and say, I've been here for 8 years, no promotion. And some people came in, after 2 years they have been promoted, after another 2 years promoted. I hate injustice. And anywhere I see injustice, it beckons on me. So I had to step in, set up a committee, look through all of it. The report is ready. And I was just telling the secretary of that committee that the white paper on the committee report must be out before September is out, so that people will know where they stand. In other words, deal with people fairly, and then mobilize them to contribute their best. We are also beginning to open up our regional offices. We were in Lagos, very imposing house, freehold. It wasn't a matter of, it wasn't a rented apartment. Then we suddenly moved from a freehold property to Abuja here, where we were renting an office at a Bank of Agriculture, 6th floor. That's where we just rented the entire 6th floor. Then as God will have it, under Professor Mainoma, we obtained this place, we acquired this place, so we now moved to this place. So it's now, we acquired this property. But what do you do with Lagos? An imposing building that we built from the scratch by our own efforts. And so we came to the conclusion that we need to have regional offices. If we are going to take the profession to the people, then let's have regional offices in Lagos, in Enugu, in Canon, then plus the one we have in Abuja here and in Jos. With this, we will be able, and already we are implementing our 7-center examination plan. Our examinations now take place in 7 centers across the country. But that's only a first step. The next step is where individuals will stay in the comfort of their homes and take these exams under the using technology. They will take the exams and turn in the results. So we've had a very busy period. Of course, one of the major setbacks for us has been finance. Again, we are putting together some tools in order to reach out, to encourage people to invest in what we are doing. We're not just asking people to give us free gifts, We're asking people to become stakeholders in what we are doing for the future of our nation. So that's what we are driving at. Again, I was just talking with the Director General of the college, Dr. Kayode Faswa. We just we have a corporate social responsibility in Basa local government, where there was this pharmacy or clinic that was serving a community that had gone into so much disrepair. He sent the pictures to us. I said, what do we do? The Board of Governors took a position that we are going to work on this. As at last week, we turned the sword to begin a new construction of a new clinic there. I don't want even to begin to emphasize the fact that ANAN has research centers in accounting in how many universities? 6, 7, 8, and we are going to add more this administration and in subsequent administration. So you can see that it's been a very busy period. I wish I could cover effectively everything we have done in the past 100 days, but we are just getting started.
Well, so beyond this, what about the challenges that you've facing since assumption of office? Apart from finance, you mentioned.
Very important challenge. Well, what are the challenges? Okay, look at this. We were all geared for a retreat in Jos, and suddenly from nowhere, crisis, and we had to reschedule at some cost, because the members were going to use the college. They were not going to pay for accommodation, and suddenly it no longer works. So we had to hire hotel accommodation for all of them, and they did not plan to pay for accommodation, so they didn't have the money. So we bear it, and this is at a time we're already complaining that we are cash strapped. And back in the east too, I problem with all the announcements they make. Suddenly, you don't go out at certain times of the week, and for me, running this professional body, I go to my base in the east, I come here, suddenly it's disrupting my movements. But then it is the reality of the times in which we are in. How I wish we'll have a governance structure where nobody will have any cause to complain, and we'll meet everybody's needs and fulfill everybody's desire. But that may be something that dwells in the realm of fantasy. So I think that's a little bit of there may be more challenges again. Some individuals, I was telling them today when I was addressing the branches, I said, please, I will make mistakes, and I said I won't make excuses for myself. I will make mistakes. I may offend people, but I want you to know that it's not because I want to offend people. I mean well, but that I will definitely make mistakes. I am apologizing ahead of time before the mistakes are made.
Okay, sir. You are a frontline personality in the area of forensic investigation. What extent have you gone in achieving this initiative?
Thank you very much for reminding me. See, I told you that there's no way I can remember everything we've done. We birthed again a forensic, a body on forensic accounting and fraud prevention. When we started, we decided to go beyond the ordinary forensic accounting. We said, let people be taught on forensic accounting, add also fraud management. Because if you are just stopping with forensic accounting, you now narrow it only to accountants. But with fraud management, criminologists, police investigators, all kinds of people can come under that, to fight fraud. So that's what we started to work on. And when we started, let me give you the background. We wanted initially to bring the College of Fraud Examiners from US to come and we take their exams and be certified by them. And they said, no way, that they will never outsource their qualifications. That you must come to them, be taught by them, examined by them, and prepared by them. So we knew that was not a good, that was a no-go area. What do we then do? One of our members, Dr. Abuja, he originated this idea. So why don't we have learnt these things. Why don't we replicate what they do there here? And so we started. Where do we get a forensic toolkit lab? There was nowhere. So he went and assembled the softwares and went to a computer lab in Jos and reconfigured them to suit forensic forensic toolkit lab. And that's how we started. The first set of trainers we brought out from that place, they looked like people in the surgery. Yeah, I mean, in a theater doing operations. There's a lot of things. Took them to the courts for training, because at times EFCC, ICPC, they carry out extensive investigation. They discover fraud, but they can't prosecute it because there are rules of evidence you must observe. And so we said it's not enough to just be accountants. It's not enough to detect the crime. You must also know how to prepare for the courts. So we introduced the moot court trial, and the deputy director of the legal law school graciously, he was our chief judge at the moot court trial here at Kefi. Set up, and they appeared in court, learned how to package your, what you've done for the courts, and we've come quite some long way. And then gradually we went. I was the pioneer chairman of the board of trustees for the forensic trading body. The time came that when my presidency of ANAN was drawing near, I had to step down and hand it over to a new person. The new person is Dr. Elias Sugeshimbaki. He became the new chairman, and then under him, the society took a different turn. He's now the Chartered Institute of Forensics and Fraud Examiners, and with an exco. He's now the president, vice president, and all that. So he's there. In this past, within my 100 days in office, we gave them a very strong support to go ahead with what they are trying to set up. A forensic academy here in Abuja. And the idea of that forensic academy is where you have the forensic toolkits lab, where you have training in different aspects of forensic work, fingerprinting, recovery of data from child documents, and things like that. Set up a forensic, train people in that area. And they've even acquired property to that effect here in Abuja. So they're working. We guaranteed a loan they took from the bank, 200 million. Not a small thing, but is an indication of how much we support what they're doing. We are putting our money where our thoughts and words are. So the forensic issue, we're not raising it because that's one of the major banes of this nation. Corruption, fraud. Everybody condemns for corruption, yet it continues to thrive. I asked the question once that way. I said, why is fraud so resilient? In that you beat it down, it bounces up. Why? Because everybody is condemning it, yet it's thriving. Go to the church, it's there. Go to the mosque, it's there. Go to the office, it's there. In fact, there was this anti-corruption agency that was being set up by some individuals to fight corruption. And before you could say Jack Robinson, they were already fighting among themselves how to loot what they had collected. Meanwhile, they're supposed to fight corruption. So, where do you get it there? So, all we are doing is to try to do the best we can, and hope that someday we'll talk. I think we will get it. We'll get it.
So, you have a solution to fighting corruption with this too?
I'm not saying that we have there's a lock we will turn, or a button we can press and corruption will disappear. It won't. It won't. But it has to come to a point. You see, one of the reasons why corruption thrives is that the deterrent factor is not working. When you see people go to jail for doing what is wrong, when we see people punished for offending the laws of the land, people will learn. That's the way the Bible puts it. It said, because the judgment written against a sin is not expeditiously executed, the children of men will never learn to live rightly until you implement what has been written. And there is this thing in Nigeria. Once it comes to corruption, once it comes to the law, you remember that this is my brother. Your brother is not wrong. If you know, in fact, so I think it was Professor Patrice Lumumba of Kenya that told a very funny story. It was in Uganda. A man who got a job in the United Nations and was sacked for embezzling money. The day he arrived in Kampala, they were cheering him that he not only stolen this, he stole in dollars. And they held him. If we held them, how do we stop the thing from happening? But if somebody discovers that he does certain things and the society looks down on it, the church looks down on it, everybody turns their back on it, it will end. But so long as we enjoy the loot and the largesse that comes from it, there's no way corruption will end.
So this forensic now, who are the people do you think that should be trained to make it work?
Primarily accountants. And then, like I said, not only accountants but others. You see, why I say primarily accountants, there's no way you can embezzle funds in an organization without teaming up with the accountant. If a principal wants to embezzle the school funds, he will make friends with the bursar. If a governor is set on him, that's why the governors keep appointing who is the accountant general, somebody they like. And if they hear that you're very principled and very unbending, they will not appoint you. I know a lady in one of the Southeast states. The governor called and said, look, I like you. I would have given you this job. But they say you're too much of a Christian. Your principles are very unbending. So I cannot appoint you. I did not appoint her. And that was the end of it. She was next in line to be given that job. That was how she was dropped. So, if the people who ought to be in the know are put there, I think to some extent we'll begin to apply the bricks in some of these things.
Yeah, coming down to part of what you spoke about, the examinations of ANAN.
Yes.
Adding together with the university and others, how do you think people from different zones will be able to benefit writing the exam, having their papers without being affected with security or movements from one place to the other? Do you think there are other ways you need to have to it?
I was talking about the interface we had with the CPA of Ireland. One of the things that caught my attention was that they said they now run examinations using technology and they invigilate using technology. And nobody needs to be there. There are, in fact, one of our members, Professor Adebayo Adejola, he's the White Knight Consult. He has a setup that makes it possible for us to administer that type of exams without any problems. You'll be allowed to write it in your father's house.
So how long will it
But the software itself will police you.
How long will it take us to get it?
We're already working on it. We're already working. In fact, I'll invite him to come and talk to council. We've already talked to the examinations committee. They bought the idea because we want to get to a point that all this, and you see, he has already designed it. The template is there. And he broke down the exam in 3 parts. The first part is like a multiple objective type. You answer, and after the answering, the result is generated immediately. That may be about 40%. Then the other one, filling in the gaps. Then the last part, case studies. Those are the ones we must meet and mark. Now, all these things, you sit in the comfort of your home or your office and you write the exams. And there is a breadth, the software monitors you. You turn outside of the scope of the so yes, it will tell you are turning too far. It gives you a query. And if it requires, yes, you are monitored. not by a human being.
So
And whatever you do, somebody out there is taking note.
that this we call leakage of
It will.
exam
It
practices and questions.
It will. In fact, one of the things we have always preached since I've been a teacher all my life is that the integrity of your exams determines the respectability of your profession or organization. So we don't joke with that.
Okay, with this now, I want to know, are you going to bring private organization, private sector into ANAN? Is that possible for you?
To bring how? What do you mean by
Private sector.
private sector? We're already reaching out to private sector. We're already working with them. You see, the thing is this: ICANN had a charter in 1965. We had our own in 1993. That's a long time, about almost a 30-year difference. So that has given them a head start. We're not competing with them. In fact, we've always said it, and I say it without any equivocation, that ICANN is our elder brother. And we have no problems with them. The only problem we have is when the elder brother says he doesn't want the younger brother. That's where we quarrel. Apart from that, we have no quarrels whatever. And some of us, all our lives, we have devoted our lives to teaching accounting. I have taught students that graduated and went and became members of ICANN. And at times they come back with a chip on their shoulders, as if becoming members of ICANN had given them a monopoly over accounting knowledge. But I asked one of them, say, so because you are now an ICANN member, you know more accounting than I do? And he says, sir, you are making it personal. That's what it is. That's what it is. So we are not in any way quarreling with any of these things. All we are saying is, let's grow together, build up together, and make the impact for the betterment of our nation. How many accountants do we have in this nation? If every registered business outfit has one accountant, Nigeria would need over 400,000 accountants. Between ANAN and ICANN, we don't even have up to, how many? 40 plus, maybe we don't have up to 100. So that's a serious shortfall. And all we need to do is make sure that we train them properly. Our orientation is to make sure that the people are well trained before we examine. We are not going to entrust the training of our students to roadside tuition houses. No. We design a college. We set the curriculum. We tell them what we want. And we try to build those values into them. And when we examine them, we hold them responsible for those things. So,
speaking on that, it regards the no competition between ICANN and ANAN.
Yeah.
How would you convince, because there's still these grounds among people, accountants who want to take a professional course, how would you convince someone who's already had a pre-planned mind that ICANN is higher? What are the catch? What are the things that could draw the person to take an ANAN professional course instead of ICANN? Going with the fact that you have said you people are not in the competition, that you still regard ANAN, ICANN as your senior brother.
yes. How I even went into, when we were asking about taking the private sector into ANAN, and I said private sector is up as much as, you see, on the day we were given the IFAC recognition, the president of IFAC declared that we, ANAN, to be the leading PAO in public sector accounting and management. But it doesn't mean that we're only in public sector. We're also in private sector. So when the student faces this choice, where do I go to? Is it ICANN or ANAN? What we do, in fact, in my university, we just had a valedictory lecture of one of our professors, and he's an ICANN professor. He has ICANN roots. And it was the same university I had my own valedictory 2-3 months ago, and I have ANAN background. So ANAN, ICANN, professors, the same institution. Let me quote what he said. He said he was very, very grateful to God that I was in that university. And because of that, there was no bad blood between ICANN and ANAN. We strive to show that if you are better than me, prove it by the quality of work you're doing. I remember I brought in once a fellow of ICANN to come and teach a very technical course in my department when I was a head of department. And he could not handle, if I give the course now, I may let out the person I'm talking about, but he couldn't teach it. The students came on rampage. They didn't want him to teach them anymore, but he was a fellow. So there are good accountants and there are bad accountants, both in ANAN and ICANN. And all we want to do is get the best for our people. So, and ICANN seems to dominate in the private sector. ANAN seems to dominate in the public sector. But we are catching up. Let me tell you why we are catching up. When we started, people didn't know that we could go as far as we have gone. I used to say that when ANAN started, they said ANAN will destroy standards, will bastardize standards. But today, ANAN has redefined standards in accounting. Would you know that IFAC has given us this responsibility to encourage, to develop accounting in a number of African countries? Is it Botswana? Where again? Zimbabwe. We are helping them and exporting our brand of training for them. When we went to Marrakesh, Morocco, for the ACOA, African Congress of Accountants, when the Director General, Dr. Kayode, talked about what we were doing in the college, one of the participants stood up and made a comment. He said, via this college, ANAN, by one act, had solved over 50% of the problems of training accountants in developing countries. Just by what we had done with that college. So, that's what we have to offer. But it remains for the industry and those who consume our services to price us the way they want. Some may say, no, ICANN is better. Whichever one you want. You see, when ICANN started, the emphasis was not on academic qualification. It's all you need to do even with your school cert. You can take foundation. After foundation, you go to intermediate. After intermediate, you go to professional. We said no. We said no. You must begin with a degree. Go to the University of Polytechnic, get your HND and BSc. Even without the professional qualification, you can still survive on those qualifications. Get them, then we professionalize you. Can you imagine bringing over 3,000 accounting graduates to the college within one compound? You know, even without teaching them anything, you will change their outlook. Because they will come from this issue. How did your teacher teach this? How did you people handle this? They will learn from comparing notes. And that's what we have done. Bring them together at the college and then groom them. So they now learn what we want them to do as professionals. That's why how they become what they have become.
On a lighter note, sir, everybody works and has the time off, right? So what would you say you do to relax?
I usually say that when I was a student, I had a very regimented life. Classroom, fellowship, hostel. That was my life. And when I came into the world of work, I tried to go beyond that. I bought a table tennis board, put it in to be playing table tennis. I tried sometime, I gave up. Badminton, I acquired all this thing. I want to be exercising so that I won't be too fat. But the fat refused to go. And me, once I don't see the result in a short time, I give up and look for another option. So I used to be a very good swimmer. I abandoned that one too. But all I do now is essentially wake up in the morning, face my task at the place of work, come out, sit and watch TV, go to church and pray. And incidentally, I'm a minister. So I go and minister in church. So that's all. And I hardly ever, I wish I had other pursuits. Maybe with this now, I will begin to think of taking a walk from time to time, walking around and around.
And that takes me to the question of, is ANAN job affecting your family, your professor, well, your being a professor, and your wife?
Incidentally, I came in onto office on April 24th, 2021. A couple of months before, October 14, I retired from the university. You know, we retire as professors at the age of 70. So that tells you I'm not a young man. So I retired. So I'm no longer under compulsion to go to the office. But I lost my office. I surrendered the key because there are things I don't do. When you leave office, leave office. Don't leave office and hold on to the things in the office and cause trouble. So immediately I left office, I surrendered the key, I left, and I've not gone there again since that time. And May of this year, I gave my valedictory lecture, where my department bade me farewell, and here am I. So I don't even have to be distracted by any other thing now. And these days, when people ask me to come and deliver a talk, I refuse. You know why? I tell them that all my life I have delivered enough papers. I don't know. And the compendium, when I was retiring, my former students brought all my writings in the past, how many years? Even the other one. This one is a first script. Over 180 academics all over the country wrote in papers just to celebrate my retirement. And it was published. There's a bigger one. The compendium of all my publications. They really, I was dumbfounded by what they did. Almost double the size. Produced them, and it was so heavy. And they celebrated it on the day I was there. My valedictory address was going on. So with that, I said I have finished my writing. Anyone that remains, that's the compendium. You can see them. These two were presented the same day. Because this one is all my writings over my entire academic life. We gave it a title, Values and Ethics in Leadership and Governance, a Millennial Challenge. So, and these are just my writings. Then these are the ones first script from academics and friends across the country. So, and they call this one Governance and Professionalism in the 21st Century, Accountant's Blueprint. So with this I say I have finished my work. So I now decided that all the time I have now I devote to ANAN and to the work of God. And when I finish, I don't know when God will call me back home, but I prepare my children. No. I say I can go anytime when God wants me to go. I have no problems with that. I've lived a life that I'm very grateful to God for. At some point, I wasn't too sure I would stay till 70. And so when the Lord kept me up to this time, I feel very grateful. You have touched a very rough spot. The first time I heard of Chartered Institute of Taxation coming was about 1990. What now? I wasn't in ANAN. I wasn't in ICANN. I was just a lecturer in accounting in the university. And somebody told me and said, and I can remember, he said, we have found a formula that will finish ANAN. I said, what's that formula? He said, this Institute of Taxation, that by the time it becomes operational, that they will reduce the ANAN certificate to a piece of toilet paper. I didn't know what you are saying. So I can, midwife to the establishment of Chartered Institute of Taxation. Initially, we were not bothered because everybody understands that accounting includes taxation, financial accounting, corporate reporting, cost and management accounting, auditing and forensic, investigation. All these are parts of accounting. And all over the world, when you are practicing accounting, all these are part of it. You cannot remove taxation and say you're not authorized. So I remember my Oga mentor, Baba Odumeru. I told him, this taxation thing will embarrass, and I forget it. How can anybody talk of taxation away from? It's part of accounting. So we don't need any other law. Well, the law was passed. And they said, if you're not a member of Chartered Institute of Taxation, you cannot practice tax administration in Nigeria. And it became a matter. Even between ICANN and CITN that they established, friction came up. They went to court. And it was blowing things apart. But we, from the word go, had an understanding with Chartered Institute of Taxation. We forged an alliance with them. Mutual recognition. We recognize their members, they will recognize our members. So we never had that problem with them. If you're a fellow of ANAN, Chartered Institute of Taxation will make you a member. If you're a fellow in Chartered Institute of Taxation, we will make you a member in ANAN. Mutually exclusive. We're mutually, inclusive, really. So we don't have any problems. But when this problem with ICANN got to a point, Federal Inland Revenue Service decided to broker peace. So they called a tripartite meeting between ICANN. Actually, it was between ICANN and Chartered Institute of Taxation. And we insisted. We are also a stakeholder in this matter. Before they go now and agree on something that will put us in peril. So if you are going to negotiate, include us. So they said, okay, come along. And so we all sat down and reviewed all this and came out with an agreement that will make it easy for all parties to practice their trade without any let or hindrance. So there's no conflict now between the three parties. We have not just mutual understanding, we have a mutual recognition. We recognize you, you recognize us. We respect you, you respect us. And that's what prevails between us and CITN. I wish, I must say that I respect the current leadership of ICANN. I have met their officers in a number of international fora where we attended meetings. I salute their president, even the registrar, and their CEO, and even the vice president. They seem to be more accommodating. Because you see, I keep telling them, even at the PAFA, Pan-African Federation, we belong to PAFA, we belong to Abuja, Accountancy Bodies of West Africa, Pan-African Federation of Accountants, International Federation of Accountants, we all belong there. I've often told them that the dividing line between trade union and professional body can be very thin. You'll be protecting, you don't want intruders, you are built like a trade union. A professional body develops that profession, develops the discipline. You find out ways that people can understand it more and pass it more and become more, literate. But if you're not careful, you just want to say, we are the only qualified people. So who told you? What makes you a monopolist of knowledge because you belong to a professional body? So, but I want to say that I think we can see a silver lining in the cloud. Like the Bible would say, I see a cloud the size of a man's hand. And so I know that there's the promise of an abundance of rain. I hope that one day these professional bodies will come together and fight for the betterment of the society where we live. Not minding whether I call me ANAN or ICANN. Thank you very much.
Well, on this note, I want to say thank you to my
Grace Lofia from Heritage Times.
and
Emmanuel Lebeke, Vanguard newspaper.
and I'm yours, Bemiga Olamikon, GTV. Next time, we're still going to keep track and watch what Professor Ben is going to do and let you know exactly if he's doing
What he promised.
the actions, if he's putting the action with the wells, or is only the wells without action. Just keep watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, GTV Africa, and on Facebook, GTV Africa Services. Till we come your way, Bemiga Olamiko. Bye for now.